Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to the channel, where we dive into all things English to help you sound more confident and natural, whether you're chatting with friends, nailing that job interview, or just navigating daily life in an English-speaking world. Today, we're tackling something that's sneaky, subtle, and oh so common grammar mistakes you're probably making. Picture this: you're in a meeting at work, feeling pretty good about your English skills, and you say something like, "He don't like the new plan." Everyone nods along politely, but deep down, you wonder if that sounded just a tad off. Or maybe you're texting a friend, "I didn't saw the movie yet." It feels right in the moment, but later, you second-guess yourself. Sound familiar? If it does, you're in the right place. These little slip-ups happen to the best of us, even native speakers sometimes, but they can quietly undermine how polished and professional you come across. By the end of this video, though, you'll walk away with the tools to spot and fix these errors effortlessly. We'll cover why they happen, break down the top ones with real-life examples, and share simple ways to polish your English without feeling overwhelmed. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and let's make your English shine brighter, because who doesn't want to sound instantly smarter and more fluent? Now, before we jump into the mistakes themselves, let's chat about why these grammar gremlins creep into our speech and writing in the first place. It's not because you're not smart or haven't studied hard enough. Far from it. Often, it boils down to how our brains handle language. If English isn't your first language, you might be translating directly from your native tongue. For instance, in some languages like German or Arabic, the structure for agreement between subjects and verbs is different, so something that flows perfectly in your head might twist a bit when it comes out in English. Or maybe you've learned rules in school, but overthinking them in real conversations makes you second-guess and slip up. I remember a student of mine from the UAE who was brilliant at business English but kept mixing up tenses because he was so focused on sounding formal that he forgot the natural rhythm. And let's be honest, even if you're from an English-speaking country like the US or Australia, habits from casual texting or regional dialects can sneak in, like saying ain't in a professional email without realizing it changes the tone. The good news? These mistakes are totally fixable, and understanding why they happen is the first step to catching them. It's like debugging a computer program. Once you know the glitch, you can patch it up and run smoother. Don't beat yourself up, everyone's on this journey, and it's what makes learning English so rewarding. Alright, let's get to the heart of it, the most common grammar mistakes that trip up English learners everywhere. We'll go through about 10 of them, one by one, starting with how they often show up wrong, then the right way, and I'll toss in a quick story or dialogue to make it stick. Trust me, these are the ones I hear all the time in my teaching experience, and fixing them can level up your English game overnight. First up, subject-verb agreement, especially with third-person singular. A lot of folks say something like, "He don't like pizza," when they're chatting casually. It rolls off the tongue, right? But the correct version is, "He doesn't like pizza." Because when we're talking about he, she, or it in the present tense, the verb needs that sneaky s or es at the end, like likes, goes, or doesn't. Imagine you're at a dinner party in Canada, and your friend points to the host, "He don't like spicy food, so I'll skip the hot sauce." Everyone might get the point, but it sounds a bit clunky. Switch it to, "He doesn't like spicy food," and suddenly you're the smooth conversationalist in the room. Simple tweak, big impact. Moving on to another sneaky one. Unnecessary helping verbs with stative verbs. I've heard so many learners say, "I am agree with you," especially if their native language uses a similar structure. It feels like you're emphasizing your point, but in English, we just say, "I agree with you." No, am, needed because agree is a state of being, not an action in progress. Think about a debate with your colleagues in the UK, you're discussing a project, and you chime in with, "I am agree on the deadline." It might confuse them a tad. But flip it to, "I agree on the deadline," and boom, you're aligned and articulate. One of my German students once shared a funny story. He was on a date and said, "I agree, this movie is great." And his date laughed because it sounded like he was forcing the agreement. Lesson learned: drop the extra words for that natural flow. Now, let's talk comparatives, because who hasn't doubled up on them? A classic is, "She is more better at tennis than me." It seems like you're ramping up the emphasis, but the right way is simply, "She is better at tennis than me." Better already implies the comparison, so more is overkill. Picture this. You're at a gym in Australia, comparing skills with a buddy. You say, "You're more faster than me on the treadmill." It gets the idea across, but it clangs a little. Correct it to "You're faster than me," and it zips along smoothly. I once had a learner from the US who kept saying "more better" in essays, and once she dropped the "more," her writing jumped from good to great. It's those tiny adjustments that add up. Tenses, they can be a real headache. Take, "I didn't saw him yesterday." This pops up a lot because in some languages, you use the past form after didn't. But in English, after did or didn't, we stick with the base form. "I didn't see him yesterday." It's like the did already carries the past tense weight. Envision you're recounting a story to friends in the States. "I didn't saw the accident, but I heard it." Close, but not quite. Change it to "I didn't see the accident," and your tale flows without a hitch. A student from the U told me he mixed this up in a job interview, saying, "I didn't knew about the policy," and felt embarrassed later. Fixing it made him sound way more confident next time. Let's shift to possessives and contractions, which mix people up all the time. A biggie is confusing your and your. Folks often write "you're welcome" instead of "you're welcome." Your shows possession, like your book, while means you are. So, the correct response after thanks is "you're welcome." Imagine emailing a client in Germany, "You're going to love this update." Oops, that should be "you're going to love this update." It changes the whole vibe from professional to puzzling. I remember a funny mix-up with a friend in Canada who texted, "You're my best friend," and we joked about it for weeks. Once you nail this, your writing looks polished instantly. Similar vibe with it's and it's. It's is possessive, like the dog wagged its tail, but it's means it is or it has. So if you say, "It's raining outside," that's wrong. It should be, "It's raining outside." Think of a weather chat in the UK. "It's been a long day," when you mean, "It's been a long day." Small error, but it stands out in writing. One learner shared a story about a resume blunder. The company expanded its market, and the recruiter pointed it out. Switching to "it's" fixed it and landed the job. Don't get me started on there, and there. There points to a place, there shows ownership, and there is they are. A common slip is "their books are over there," which should be "their books are over there." Or "they're going to the party," instead of "they're going to the party." Picture planning a trip with mates in Australia, put "their luggage there." Mix up city. Correct it, and your directions are crystal clear. I've seen this trip up even advanced learners in emails, but practicing with sentences like that turns it into second nature. Another one that sneaks in, who versus whom. It sounds old school, but it's useful. Who is for subjects like, "Who called me?" But whom is for objects, as in, "To whom did you speak?" Learners often say, "Who did you give it to?" which is casual and fine, but formally, "To whom did you give it?" polishes it. In a business call from the UE, saying, "Who should I contact?" works, but knowing whom elevates formal writing. A mini story: my student once wrote a letter starting, "Who it may concern," instead of, "To whom it may concern," and laughed when we fixed it. Let's touch on quantities with less and fewer. Less is for uncountable things like less water, while fewer is for countable like fewer apples. So, I have less friends should be I have fewer friends. At a supermarket in the US, you might say there's less people in line, but correctly, there are fewer people in line. It sounds nitpicky, but it makes you sound precise. One learner from Germany corrected this in presentations and noticed people took his stats more seriously. Then there's affect and effect. Affect is usually a verb meaning to influence, like the weather affects my mood. Affect is a noun as in the effect was surprising. Mix up, the medicine had a good effect, should be affect. In a health chat in Canada, how does stress affect you? Becomes affect. A friend once blogged about climate change's effects, and editing to effects made it pro-level. One more for good measure, then versus then. Then is for time or sequence like we ate, then walked. Then compares as in taller than you. Common error, better than ever, instead of better than ever. Planning a day in the UK, first coffee, then work. Nope, then. Fixing this clears up timelines and stories. And finally, could have instead of could have. It sounds the same, but it's could have, like I could have danced all night. Not could have. In regrets, I could have called, should be have. A student in Australia used it in an essay, and correcting it boosted her grade. Phew, that was a lot. But aren't these tweaks game changers? Now that we've unpacked those common pitfalls, let's talk about how to fix them naturally without turning your life into a grammar boot camp. The key is immersion and gentle practice. Start by tuning into native English content, podcasts from the BBC or American shows on Netflix. Listen for those correct structures, like how speakers handle tenses or agreements, and repeat them out loud in a technique called shadowing. It's like echoing a pro athlete to improve your swing. Another tip, keep a little journal of your own slip-ups. Next time you catch yourself saying, I didn't saw, jot it down and say the right version 3 times. Make it a daily habit, maybe during your commute in Dubai or Toronto traffic. Apps like Duolingo or Grammarly can flag errors in your writing too, turning everyday emails into practice sessions. And don't forget conversations. Chat with language exchange partners online. The more you use English in real scenarios, the less you'll overthink, and these fixes will become automatic. Remember, it's about progress, not perfection. Even natives tweak their speech over time. As we wrap this up, let's quickly recap the gems we've covered. We started with why mistakes happen, often from translations or habits, and dove into fixes like subject-verb agreement. He doesn't like dropping extras. I agree. Proper comparatives. Better. Base forms after did, didn't see, and sorting out confusables like your slash your, it slash its, their slash there, who slash whom, less slash fewer, affect slash effect, then slash than, and could have. Each one, with its little stories, shows how small changes spark big confidence boosts. So, my friends, go out there and pay attention to these tweaks in your daily English. Whether you're acing school in the States, closing deals in Germany, or just enjoying chats in Australia, these corrections will make you sound fluent, professional, and totally at ease. You've got this. English is your playground now. If this helped, hit that like button, subscribe for more tips, and drop a comment with your biggest grammar pet peeve. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.